Sometimes we get the notion that the world is a bad place and that it is going downhill fast. Now let me explain why that is. It's called the spiral of silence, and it was introduced by German political scientist Elizabeth Noel Neumann in the 1970s. So basically what the spiral of silence is one opinion becoming dominant because those who hold other opinions are afraid to express them for fear of isolation. Now here's the thing, just because one group is voicing their opinion more and louder about it, it doesn't mean that they're the majority. What it means is that sometimes the majority are afraid to voice their opinion because they don't think they're the majority. All too often, people hide their opinions because they fear that they're not the majority and they'll be isolated if they speak up. In recent years, we've heard a lot of news reports about negative things or things that might frighten us a little bit that we think, wow, the world is becoming kind of an awful place. This happens so much, in fact, that we start to see the world as this negative place, and that if somebody holds an opinion different to that and speaks up, they're the minority. The good people, I guess, would be a minority in that they will be ostracized because of their viewpoint. Now let me just tell you one thing, that's not the case. The problem is that the media is pushing this spiral of silence thing so far that it pushes fear into the hearts of those who would, want to express their different opinion. One of the problems, in my opinion, is that the media will cultivate a certain thought process. They'll cut one thought process out completely and leave it with something else entirely. And so people will only see the one that is left in and not realize that, yeah, there's still that opinion going on in the real world. But they don't see that because the media has cut it out of what they show. Take Duck Dynasty, for example. Now, I don't watch the show. I never have, and I don't know if I will. I don't really watch TV all that often, but Phil, one of the guys from Duck Dynasty, was essentially fired from the program because he expressed an opinion of his that was not reciprocated by the TV network. And might I just put in that this was on reality TV? So I don't know what the definition of reality TV means, but for me, I would think that it would express the real goings-ons of what they're showing, which apparently, according to A&D Network, is not somebody's opinion. So the A&E Network will tyrannically oppress somebody's opinion as if he had no freedom of speech at all, whereas Hollywood can say whatever the heck they want because, well, they're in charge. But this isn't about Hollywood, this isn't about all that stuff. Let's move on. So when we see a television network cut somebody down because of his opinion, we start to worry that, the world is, in fact, a horrible place, and we are going down a slippery slope and are going to die, or something like that. And because we hear so many negative things, we just assume that this is just one more wound in an already dying world. But then something happened. Society rejected the idea of being silenced, and they stood with Phil. They opened their mouths and they would not let a powerful television network silence them. Now this is not about whether what he said on TV was right or wrong, it's about silencing freedom. And we've seen that people will not have that, and that brings hope to a struggling world. The Project for Awesome was a couple of days ago, and if you're not sure what that is, just click right here and I'll have Hank Green explain that to you. But in a world where so many things are wrong, the Project for Awesome showed me how many things are actually right. So many people stepped up to help so many different charities, and I've never seen anything like it. It would be really easy to sit back and say, well, a ton of people are going to upload videos about charities, so there's really no need for me to do that. It would be really easy to sit back and say, I'll let somebody else save the world. But if we all sat around waiting for somebody else to do something, nothing would ever happen. Nothing would get done. And from what I saw, the Nerd Fighters are not a group of people to sit around and let somebody else take care of the world's problems. They got up and did what they could with their resources to help make the world a better place. And so did everybody who stood up with Phil from Duck Dynasty. Just by opening their mouths, people were able to break the silence of the A&E Network were trying to enforce. Now, here's the thing, I'm not on some crusade to say, oh, those networks are evil and they should all be banned. And I'm like, nah, that's not what I'm getting at here. What I'm getting at is that people have the power to make a difference in the world. And because of everything I've seen within the last couple of days, I just want to say to Nerd Fighters everywhere, thank you for doing what you can to reduce world suck. And thank you also to everybody for not allowing a TV network to create a spiral of silence. Silence will not fall. You have every right to express your belief, and if somebody doesn't agree with your belief, well, that's their right to disagree. It's the world we live in. There is no need to take that right away from them. If something offends you that much, change the channel. You have a remote control, or is it too far away from the potato chips? We all know that the silence is an enemy to the doctor, just as much as being silenced is an enemy to human rights. And that's it, that's all I wanted to talk about. So Merry Christmas! I am allowed to say that, aren't I? And nobody's gonna get offended. And don't forget to be awesome!